Hello, is there anybody out there? Welcome. I think I'm live. It's Suzanne here. Is there anybody out there? I'm not sure. Oh, Kathy Jo's there. Oh, good. And Kathy Jo, am I oriented the right way? Because I can't tell yet. Hi there. Hi, Susie. Okay, well, I'm going to sit down and make myself comfortable and introduce myself and say hi. And I have all my welcomes out because I'm not really, I didn't know which one you wanted. So now I'm just going to try and see if I can get this up on my monitor here. Oh yes, there I am. Yay. Oh good. Okay. So welcome. It's Pie Day, and you know what Pie Day is. No, it's not the eating kind of pie. It's March 14th, which is 3.14. So bring out your math and you'll remember what pi is. Okay, I'm Suzanne and I'm taking over today. I'm Suzanne Cannon and I'm the designer behind Quietfire Design. And I'd like to thank Creative Scrapbooker magazine for having me as a guest. And a little bit about me, I have a website and I design rubber stamps. And I didn't start with that. I started with calligraphy because I'm a calligrapher. And I started with a rubber stamp line a long time ago. And now I have craft dies and clear stamps and stencils with Elizabeth Craft Designs. And I'm also a contributing artist to Silhouette America Design Store. And so for them, I create digital cutting files like box structures and fonts. The Quietfire design team does incredible projects 3 to 4 days a week on the Quietfire Creations blog and the Quietfire digital blog. And you'll also find us on the Elizabeth Craft Designs blog usually once a week. And you'll find me on the usual social media stuff, the Quietfire Design page, and that's usually where this is. We've just started a Suzanne Cannon fan group, and I'd love for you to come and join it. It's for sharing those projects where you use Quietfire products in your creation, and I love to see what you do with them. I love everything from vintage and grungy straight through to elegant and beautiful, and everything goes there. So please come and join us. And also I send out a newsletter. It's usually things like sales and sometimes things that the design team has done, and sometimes new products. So, and they don't come out very often. I'm not going to bombard you. You just go to the home page on the right. There's a box. Sign up for the email newsletter. I've made a new category on the website, and it's called Letters Live, and that's for items that I carry on my website that I might have used in one of these broadcasts. And keep in mind that anything on the Quietfire site is in Canadian dollars, so don't have a heart attack if you're an American and you see the prices are different than, say, Elizabeth Craft Designs. They're virtually the same. And I do these broadcasts now every Thursday at 4 p.m. Pacific time on the Quietfire Design page. And if you miss it, there is, I archive them on my YouTube channel where they're not getting a lot of love yet, but I think they'll get found and you can check them out at another time. So Kathy Jo is on the other end of the continent helping me with links. Say, hi, Kathy Jo. Thanks for being there. Thanks everybody for coming and visiting. Hi Caitlin, I see you. Okay, now here's my welcome. These are all dies. Well, obviously the welcome die is repeated over. Hello is also one of my dies. That's one of Susan Tierney Coburn's flowers. Gorgeous, gorgeous stuff. And you can find those at Elizabeth Craft Design. So I'm going to take this off here and we'll get going with the nuts and bolts of the project. And this is what we're going to do today. And it's got a few techniques. And yeah, kind of fun. You can use it as a card. It's a sidefold card right now, but you could also expand it into a scrapbooking page. And I'll show you how in a minute. So first things, I'll just move that over there a little bit out of the way. And I'll show you some of the things we're going to be using today. I need more room in my space. This is the rubber stamp. It's a Quietfire rubber stamp, and it's foam and cling mounted, and it's deeply etched red rubber. And yeah, I just really like this sentiment. It keeps you reminded that don't live in the past. I think we can all use that little lesson, so it never hurts to remind ourselves. So I'll put that over there. And then the dies that you can get from me, or you can get from Elizabeth Craft Design. Designs, plural. Got to remember the S on there. This is Remember, great for scrapbookers. You could do a whole series of pages doing Remember. I also have Memories. There's actually 99 SKUs, believe it or not, which means there's over 100 words in the die line. You can mix and match them, and I'm sure there's combinations that we haven't thought of yet, so try them out. So there's Remember, and this is the Flourished Butterfly, and I just love this. We're just going to be using this part, the base, today. Who doesn't like butterflies? So let's make this cute little card. Put those over there. So products that we're using today, that's the stamp and the dies. And you can get the dies from me, you can get the dies from Elizabeth Craft Design. We're also using embossing powder from Emerald Creek, and I obviously snatched this from them before it even got a label on it. It's called Doubloon Gold, and we'll give you the link for it a little later on. See, it had the price on it. I got that far, but so that's from Emerald Creek. And also the stamping inks. We're going to use Versa Magic from Imagine Crafts, and I really love this stamp ink, and I'll tell you why when I use it. And Versa Mark, well, that's a really good ink for getting the embossing powder to stick to the surface of whatever you're working on. Super handy. Okay, put that over there. And then I think you can see over on the side here, I have some Distress Oxides, and I'm sure this would be fine with the regular Distress inks too. It's just that I store my oxides up higher, and I sort of grab those first. So we used, for this one, Faded Jeans, Tumbled Glass, and Bundled Sage. And I just really love the Bundled Sage. I don't know, it's kind of a bluey green, a pale bluey green, and it always works better when you have colors that are similar on the color wheel. The closer they are together, the better they'll blend. So this bluey green works very nicely with these blues. Okay, now cardstock. Well, I have to tell you right away, I'm blending challenged. So I find that this specialty stamping paper from Ranger works really well for me. It's a coated cardstock. It's kind of like a matte photo paper, and it's smooth, and I seem to be able to blend on it. I'll show you in a few minutes, but I just wanted to tell you that that's what I was working on mostly today. And I'm also using some of the Canadian Scrapbooker Superstock for the scrapbook layout version. And you can get that from, Canadian Scrapbooker. Oh my goodness, I must have had this for a while. I bet this label's changed. Anyways, it's quite a big package, so yes, sorry about that. It's Creative Scrapbooker now. It grew up. And things like a stamping platform, blending tools, bone folder, awl, tweezers, T-square, and I'll show those to you as we go through. And scrap paper always is a good thing to have around. Okay, so let's have a look at this again. And the first thing, for some reason, I always do the card base first. So here is the card base, and it is Coordinations cardstock. And it's a side fold card, and it's 6 by 12 folded in half. Okay. Now this is I guess we better talk about die cutting these little things. Here are my die cuts. Some of them I've gone ahead and prepared just in case. So die cut Remember and the Butterfly Flourish out of white cardstock. And well, we may as well go right ahead and emboss that, because that's important. And I'm just going to grab my scrap paper. Talk amongst yourselves. Now, so I called this a Gilded Remember. Now, traditionally, calligraphers did gilding in ancient times, and they would do it on they would letter or draw in with gesso, and that would be plaster gesso, not acrylic gesso, because they didn't have acrylic gesso. So they would layer it, and then they would smooth it with like a sandpaper, and then they would gild on top of that. So what we're doing today is like modern gilding, easy gilding. So I'm taking the Versamark ink, which is going to stay tacky, and I'm going to put it all over the surface of Remember. And just make sure the surface is covered. And we're going to put the butterfly. I would do the same with the butterfly. And I'm going to take that out because I've got embossing ink on there, and I don't really want all my embossing powder to stick to that. So we're going to use the tweezers, handy dandy tweezers, can't live without them. And we're going to put the doubloon gold over top. Oh, go for it, use it all. I just can never seem to use it all. Okay, and I probably should have had another layer of scrap paper underneath. Let's put a whole bunch of sheets underneath. Just holler if you have any questions. Kathy Jo is on to answer your questions if you need to, or shake me or stop me. I might not see it though. I can't do two things at once, you know. Okay, and I'm going to pour that back in, and I'm going to put the lid on because I live in fear of heating up the whole jar of embossing powder and turning it into a solid mass. And if my boys were still around and at home and young, well, they would probably try that experiment. And this is the, I got this from Emerald Creek too, the Wagner Studio heat tool. And I love this thing, boy, I tell you. Not that it's quiet or anything, but it does the job lickety-split. Look at that go. Ooh, magic, magic. Okay, and we've just done 2 days worth of gilding in about 30 seconds. How's that? There's a lot of monks rolling over in their graves. Okay, now that is pretty cool. That's nice and smooth. And I'll do the same with the Butterfly Flourish, and I did the same with it, and I want to show you what I ended up with. Hang on a sec. Fell in love with another one. Now you can see that is a bit more marbled, not marbled so much as pitted, pebbled is the word I really want. And you can see, can you see that surface? It's a bit pebbled. And you know, I don't mind that in the Butterfly Flourish or a shape. Now in my words, I'm not so excited about it, but we're going to use that because I don't mind that at all. Now, This looks pretty darn good, but you know what looks even better is to take it and do it twice. And it just comes up so beautiful. Now this is a matte gold. I would really like to, next time I order from Emerald Creek, I need to get some bright gold, because calligraphers would have laid down the gold and then burnished it. So it came up really, really brilliant. And of course, because they were doing Bibles, it survived inside the Bible for centuries as a beautiful, bright patch of gilding. Okay. And let's do it again. Now don't burn the, look at that go. It goes so fast the second time. And it just pops right up, and it's gorgeous. Like, oh yeah, there's a lot more monks rolling over in their graves. Sorry, boys, but check this out. And of course, I do the calligraphy for you, so you don't have to worry about that part. You just have to have some fun gilding. Okay, so that's kind of the gilding part. Now the next part is we're going to do the background. And I already told you that I'm sponging challenge. So this is the Ranger Specialty paper. And it really helps me a lot. I don't think I need that anymore. Whoops. Oh, have to get that later. Okay, so we're going to pounce this. This is your sponging tool, little sponge thingy on the bottom. I think probably most of you have seen that. Am I doing this far enough up? Sorry if I'm not. Bad Suzanne. Okay, so do some pouncing and some blending. And oh yes, I like this. And it's fast on this paper too, because it's a bit slick. Yay, there we go. Nice color, huh? And then we're going to go to tumbled glass and just add a little bit of excitement around the edge there. Subtle excitement. I do like subtlety. And sometimes it doesn't photograph very well. And the nice thing about this is if you don't really like it that much, you can go back in and add some more colors. Don't put too many colors in. And then the bundled sage, my fave. And then I think I might go back in and put a bit more. I'm just looking at the sample over here. Can you see that? Might put in a bit more faded stuff. Faded jeans. Okay, let's just get something on here. And then everybody's, if you haven't done this, it's kind of, you know, you could work at it and sort of just do it in a relaxed way. I think I'm not a very good blender because I don't have enough patience, and I should slow down and enjoy the moment. Anyways, I'm going to go all the way around that, and then I'm not going to like it, and I'm going to go back in and tap in a little more of the faded jeans, maybe bring it out a little farther. And then everybody's favorite thing is you're going to take the spritzer bottle. I probably used this for the cat last. He was being really naughty earlier. And then it pays to know your spritzer and how it spritzes. Whether it's throwing out big globs of water or whether it's just spraying a fine mist. And in this one, you can see I have a little bit of both. But it's a subtle background and it doesn't overpower the stamp or the dies. And well, you never get the same thing twice. So there's a little bit of surprise every time. Now, I would go ahead and finish that whole thing and maybe do a bit more blending. But you don't want to stick around and watch that, do you? No, we want to move right along. Okay, so through the magic of television, not really, I have one that's dry and finished and I'm happy with. And I think I'm doing everything in the right order. We've done the base, we've done the embossing, the gilding, and we've done the blending. And now we're going to stamp the sentiment on here. Okay, let me put this back down so you can see it hiding over in the corner here. Now I use a Tim Holtz platform. You can use whatever platform you have, but did I happen to mention that I was blending challenged? Well, holy smokes, I'm stamping challenged too. Hey, I designed them. I'm not a good stamper. And I don't know what I ever did before they came out with stamping platforms. It's not a pretty sight. So how I set this up, you know what, I'm going to just move these out of the way so I have a bit more flexibility in my space. Move these over a little bit so you can see a bit more. Okay, how I have this set up is, and you have to bring out your inner calligrapher. I think everybody's had a calligraphy class at one time or another. And basically you're going to look at the baseline along that bottom line of the stamp. And you're going to line it up with one of the ridges on the stamping platform. Hopefully that's not reflecting too much for you. So that'll hopefully get it pretty close to straight. And then what I like to do, because rubber stamps don't have, you can't see through them, I take a transparency, and it lives here. This is a cut down transparency, and I've hinged it with washi tape over on the side, and you can flip that up and back. And this is just a piece of graph paper that I happen to have, that I like to have in the background. So basically, you take the Versamagic chalk ink, and I love this stuff because it's a chalk ink, it's a pigment ink, it sits up on the surface and it doesn't bleed in. And we calligraphers work really, really hard for decades trying to get those perfect thicks and thins. And really, stamping and calligraphy both rely on paper and ink. And if one is out of whack, then disaster ensues. Certainly for calligraphers it can. So this is a wonderful ink, and it doesn't bleed into the surface, and it doesn't take long to dry either. So ink up the stamp, and then I'll just press it down on here so you can see. There. And yes, it's in the right place. And what did I do with, there it is. And then I'm going to slide this in here. And I want this stamped in the middle. So I'm going to put my little magnets. I'm going to hold that puppy in place. And that looks pretty good. You can always trim this after the fact if you don't quite get it right. I got it pretty straight. I'm happy with that. I'm going to move the transparency aside, and I'm going to ink up the stamp. And I'm going to come and press that down. And I have this on the rubber side and pull it up. And oh wow, I am so impressed with this ink. It just leaves such a clean image. And sometimes it doesn't, it depends on your stamp pad. This isn't really juicy, and I like that. I like a drier stamp pad because then when you shrink down calligraphy, it can get really, start to look like monoline, and this is broad edge, right? So its strength is and elegance is from its thicks and thins. And when you shrink it down too far, it starts to look like it was done with a ballpoint pen. So the fact that this can hold the, the stamp itself was a work of art. Not the lettering, I don't mean that so much, but the manufacture of the stamp is really very good. And then if you use a good ink with it, and you because it's on a stamp platform, you can ink it up just lightly and press it in again. And sometimes they'll do 2 or 3. Now see, that actually thickened up quite a bit. I'm not happy with that. I liked it before. I should have left it well enough alone. But you can see how those 2 strokes are almost hitting each other now, and that's because the ink has spread. Okay, never mind. Oh, I'm going to put this away. So are you learning too much about calligraphy? And you can see if you look at this one, you can see how those flourishes have a bit of air between them, and this is all filled in, which is unfortunate. Now hang on a sec, talk amongst yourselves. I have to reach over here and grab my ruler that decided to go flying off. Okay, everybody still here? Hello. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do, and you know, I'm going to let that dry, and okay, we're going to do something else first. Let's put that aside, let it dry. Now we're going to make a background. Now you see how there's a border around here? Well, we're going to use the same technique. And this is when it's finished. It doesn't matter what it looks like, does it? Because you're going to put that on top. How cool is that? So you're going to cut a piece of cardstock that's a little bit wider. And you're going to bring in your guard sheets. Can't live without my guard sheets. Live my life with guard sheets. And as a calligrapher, I always have a guard sheet under my hand because the oils from my hand deposit on the surface that I'm working on and makes it into a skating rink. Okay, so all you have to do with this is run down the side, run down the very edge of this piece of cardstock. And this is cut about a 1/8 inch bigger all the way around than the blended panel. So you're going to do that, and then I won't do it now because you know what I'm going to do, right? I'm going to take and I'm going to put the embossing powder on there, and I'm going to heat it and melt it, and I'm going to end up with that. And I don't mind that it's a pebbled surface. I think that's very nice for this, but I really like the smooth on the lettering. Okay, so, and again, I'm going to adhere that to there, and I'll use my glue dots. I love my glue dots. If you follow me, you know I always have them handy, and I have them color coded. Did you ever notice that? Probably not. So the minis are here in the pink, and the micros are here in the blue, and I'm still waiting for them to produce a mini micro version. Oops, uh-oh, I just stuck my foot on the light switch. Did you notice? Aha, there we go. We're back. So all you have to do with this is, oh no, that's the, I don't want to use the micros for that. These are the minis. And you just have to pop them on the corner. And depending on what you're working on, oh, come on. It wants to stay on the release paper more. You might put one in the middle. I mean, you can run a tape runner around, whatever works for you. I live my life with glue dots, and I'm fine with that. And I'm trying to get used to a tape runner, but that hasn't quite happened yet. The nice thing about glue dots is if you screw up, which never happens here, you can redeem yourself with undo. And one of these days I'm going to demonstrate how to use undo and undo works and releases dry adhesive. It doesn't work for glue, as you know, like glue that dries, wet glue that dries. This is for dry adhesives, and it works on photographs. It's amazing stuff, and I can't live without it. So it's bailed me out more than once. And then you're just going to pop that right on there. Okay. So, and that one's a bit paler than this one, but I like them both. Okay, we're going to put that aside. Oh, and this is much more subtle. See, the drops are much more subtle on this. They went really white over on the final sample. Interesting. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to put the words on here. And I use my T-square, and I'm going to pull out a remember. Remember to pull out the remember. And I'm going to pull out that. And is that one of my favorite? Oh yeah, that's nice. Ooh, ooh, yeah, very nice. Love that. Okay, so I want remember to be up in the corner over here. How close do I want it? Well, don't put it too far apart. If you put it too far apart, the whole design kind of falls apart. So you want things kind of grouped together in the middle. So I'm going to move that a little closer. Okay, what I'm going to do is draw a baseline with a pencil that I don't seem to have. Yes, I do. And really lightly, I'm just going to draw a line along here. Okay, and you can hardly see that. So that's basically the baseline for my word. And that way you'll get it straight. So if you bring out your inner calligrapher, you can see where the baseline of the lettering is. Now I've got flourishes in there and they kind of mess things up, but you can see the bottom of the M, the bottom of the R, and there too. And that's where the baseline is, and that's what you're going to line up. So here's where the glue dots really come in, and these are the micro glue dots. And the high-tech technique with the tool that I always carry around with me and my finger, which is my fingernail. And what I do is simply apply at least 3, usually one at the beginning of the word, one at the end, and one in the middle. Now, because this has been gilded, embossed, I'm going to put more on because it's tending to curl up. Typically, if you're just die cutting a piece of cardstock, it won't be as curled as this. And one on the flourish. Sometimes flourishes want to bend up. Okay, that's enough for now. You can always add more. And again, let's see if I can see. I'm not sure I can even see my there it is. So put it, you can probably see it better than I can. So if you put down the first letter, and then you can have a little bit of wiggle room. Don't pull on the design too much. What I tried to do when I designed these, what I'm always thinking of, or trying to think of, is to brace letters so that when you take the die cut, it won't bend up and go out of shape. So there you have it. And I would probably come in and see, fingernails are great things. And I'll come in under there. And this is just the way I do it. You might have a better way to do it. And I'll do the same with the butterfly flourish. And I'll put it there. Now I will use the micro glue dots for the flourishes to hold those down, and I'll use the minis for the body of the butterfly. But I'm not so concerned. I'm not going to run a align with the T-square, because it doesn't really matter. You could have it whichever angle you want. So then you're just going to take this once it's all put together and it's tacked down. Oh, an important part, that depending on how dark you've done it, you may want to come in with, this is a Tombow Mono eraser, and it's a fine little point at the end, and it's really pretty handy. It comes, I think the Zentanglers really like it, although they're not supposed to erase things, are they? I'm not a Zentangler, and I'm not a scrapbooker, and I'm a calligrapher, sorry. But yeah, anyways, this came out of the I don't know, Tombow did it. Great product. And you can get in and erase those little baselines. And then just take a little brush and get rid of the eraser. And there you have it. And then mount it on your cardstock. And you have that cool little card. Now, I have to put in a word about the scrapbookers and thank them very much, because years ago, when scrapbooking became very big, they demanded that things be acid-free. And even things that were acid-free are now labeled acid-free. And we have to thank them, give them a vote of thanks for making it obvious what was acid-free. Because calligraphers come out of the fine arts, really. So we're tapped into the light, fast pigments and watercolor paper, and usually work on that. So coming into the craft industry, it's a bit different. Now I've told you, I've confessed, I am not a scrapbooker, but why not? Now this is the super stock, nice heavyweight. I think this kind of looks like a dog's breakfast, but if you take this, you can put it right on the middle, and voila, all of a sudden you've got words of encouragement and a 12 by 12 format. Now, there's no reason that you can't take the quote out and put in a photograph. And if you want, you could move the words and the butterfly right out of the center square. So, yay! How cool is that? There we go. So that's kind of the whole plan for the project. And I should just say in closing, thanks for coming, for everybody who's watching. And I'm usually over on the Quietfire Design Facebook page. Aren't you glad Facebook is back up? It was out yesterday. I was going, oh dear, am I even going to be able to do this today? So we're back, and I'll be over again next Thursday at 4 o'clock Pacific time doing a different project. And I just wanted to mention that there is a sale over on the Quietfire site. They're only on the Quietfire site. The dies, the Away with Words dies, are 15% off, and the rubber stamps are 25% off. And don't forget, there's a new category, the Letters Live, and that has products that are on my site that I've used in these broadcasts. Quietfire Creations is our blog. And come join us on the Suzanne Cannon fan page and post your projects, because I love to see what you've done with them. So is there any questions? Please feel free to sign up for the newsletter. So we've done some gilding, and all the monks are rolling over in their grave because they can see that gilding can be done in 30 seconds instead of 3 days. When you make the plaster, you have to slake the plaster and stir it around. And then once you've applied it, you have to let it dry, and then you have to put another layer on and let it dry. And I mean, here we have dimensional gilding in no time at all. So double gilding. And I think Kathy Jo put up the link to the, hopefully she did. We were having some technical difficulties with links, and hopefully she got in the Emerald Creek link, so you can get your own doubloon gold. I also have some silver from there, and I haven't tried it yet, but yeah. So thanks again, everybody, for coming. Happy creating. Happy craft month. It's craft month, and it's pie day, so go have some pie. And thanks for coming. Just having a little look for some questions. I don't see anything. Anything on my site, Ingrid, is in Canadian dollars. But Elizabeth Craft Design's site is US. And this will be archived on, well, Facebook will have it, but also my YouTube channel will have it. So thanks for coming, and hopefully we'll see you again. And I hope you enjoyed this project, and you try it yourself. Okay, have a good rest of the day.